our fatherland, may it live, grow and flourish.
Ma soovin, et eestikeelne haridus oleks kättesaadav kõikidele, et areneks eesti teaduskeel, et Eestis oleks palju särasilmseid, loodusainete ja tehnoloogia õpetajaid, et iga pisike poiss ja tüdruk tahaks oma elus midagi leiutada ja vähemalt pooled neist tahaks saada inseneriks. Ma soovin, et see soov inseneriks saada ei kaoks põhikoolis ja ma soovin, et Eestist saaks lisaks digiriigile ka tehnoloogia
to being an e-state, a technology state.
Long
live the Republic and may it have friendly people. I'd like to wish the Republic of Estonia caring, tolerance and understanding. May you have fair winds and following seas. We'd like to wish Estonia many wise women. I wish Estonia the use of more renewable energy sources. I wish many healthy people to the Republic of Estonia. Energy, strength and good course for navigation. We wish Estonia much love for dancing. I'd like to wish Estonia happy and joyful people. For its birthday, I wish Estonia wisdom, hardworking people and joy.
Vivat crescat
floreat Respublica Estonia in eternum.
Jätkuvat tehnoloogilist arengut Tallinna Tehnikaülikoolile ja kogu Eestile tervikuna. Edu ja rõõmu meile kõigile. Oleme hoitud ja jääme terveks.
Mina soovin Eestile hoolivust ja palju armastust.
And much love. Let's be Estonians and remain negative.
Kallis Eesti Vabariik.
Dear Estonia,
ma soovin sul
I wish you tailwind,
mis
which despite of storms, high or low tide, will take you to the most favorable port, where healthy people, fruitful soil, and the belief to a better tomorrow will await for you. Dear academic family and dear guests, here in the festive hall and those watching us online, welcome to the 103rd anniversary Assembly of the Republic of Estonia. Please raise for the bringing in of the flags and for the national anthem.
kui sa mu isamaa. Sa oled mind ju sünnitanud ja üles kasvatanud. Sind tänan mina alati ja jään sul truuiks surmani. Mul kõige armsam oled sa, mu kallis isamaa. Su üle Jumal vallaku, mu armas isamaa. Ta olgu sinu kaitseja ja võtku rohkest õnnista, mis siial ette võtad sa, mu kallis isamaa.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the opening address of the festive assembly, we will give the floor to the rector of Tallinn Technical University, Professor Tiit Land. Dear academic family, dear friends, I would like to congratulate you all on the upcoming anniversary of our republic. We are still lucky and we have the privilege to live in our own state, to make our own decisions, to teach our children in our own mother tongue, and to raise our own flag. The flags are also waving today, and while we await the 103rd anniversary of the republic, it is true that not all of these years we have managed to live freely on its soil, but we have lived with faith and with hope. I speak before you here today in Estonian, in the language I learned at home and perfected at school. I speak in the Estonian language at this festive hall, which should add the hope and also certainty that in the same manner the next rectors will speak here and that the future students will learn in this language and that the Estonian medium scientific space will be well dignified. The fact that we love and value the Estonian language, the language of a small nation which has almost miraculously survived in the turmoil of history, does not make us any smaller, rather the opposite. It adds a responsibility of learning bigger languages and thus broaden our horizons. As the anniversary of our republic is drawing closer, and congratulating you on this event, I would like to wish you all, the entire academic family, the strength and the courage to think on the world's future. We cannot remain mere onlookers and wait until somebody comes to ask our advice. The world is an increasingly complex place. The Estonian society and economy need the help and support of the scientists more than it ever has before. In our university, Tallinn Technical University, there is knowledge which should be used to preserve our environment, to create innovation and to provide dignified life for everyone. We can offer solutions to global problems. We are the only technical university in Estonia. On Friday last week, the Council of the University adopted the new development plan 2021-2025. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the University Council and all of our staff members and partners for taking part in the forming of the development plan. Dear academic family, I wish that the new development plan of the university were the development plan for all of us. I wish that all of us together would value high quality in the academic activities. I wish that we had the will to be the pioneers and engines of the digital and climate neutral future, and not the ones lagging behind. I wish that we were a cohesive and family-friendly university. As the rector, I can sometimes say it is my university, but I wish that all of you can say the same, since this is the only way to move to excellence. Tallinn Technical University is a research university, and I am very glad to see that the government of the Republic of Estonia has also recognized the work of our researchers. The 2021 Estonian National Research Award in the Technical Sciences was given to Maria Grossberg and Jüri Kruustok, who were recognized for their work with the optical spectroscopy of new 2D and 3D multiple semiconductors. I would like to congratulate Maria and Jüri. I wish you a festive anniversary of the Republic. Mente et manu. Thank you to Rector Tiit Lang. Ladies and gentlemen, the festive lecture to mark the anniversary of the Republic will be given by Mr. Tõnis Liibek, the director of Tallinn Technical University Library. Honorable academic family, the Republic of Estonia was established 103 years ago. Tallinn Technical University is as old as the Estonian state. We are here today in order to celebrate the birth moment of the Republic, and thus it is important to also focus on how the intelligentsia in the technical field came into being. We do not have to go back too long in history for that purpose. About half a century before the forming of the Republic in the 1860s, no Estonian had acquired technical higher education. This is just a couple of generations ago. There are still people with us today whose grandparents were born in these years. It is merely 3 generations ago. There were just a few Estonian medical doctors, lawyers and linguists with higher education, but none in the fields of architecture or engineering. And no one believed that there will be any. The local peasantry was considered as being in the brink of disappearance, and a few students acquired their degrees in German. Our buildings, roads and bridges were designed by the local Baltic Germans or foreigners. The knowledge was the basis of our factories and building the local railways, maintaining the steamboats, electricity and telegraphic lines. And it all took place just 3 generations ago. Together with greater freedoms and economic prosperity, the national self-identity became stronger, and increasing numbers of Estonian youth started studying at universities, including also acquiring technical higher education. Abolishing serfdom and buying oneself out, as well as sending the sons to the universities, were 2 symbols of Estonians gaining independence. But at the end of the 1870s, 3 of our 75 people with higher education had a degree in the technical field. It is a known fact that in the last decades of the 19th and in the beginning of the 20th century, students went to study in the big cities of the Tsardom of Russia, its capital, St. Petersburg, and to Riga, the center of the governorate of Livonia. In Estonia, the basic technical education was given in either the schools made for sailors, railway workers, or at specialized courses. St. Petersburg technical colleges, the Polytechnic Institute, the Road and Mining Institute, the Institute of Technology, the Institute of Electrical Engineering and others were of a very high level. And the Riga Polytechnic Institute also gave a very high level education in engineering or architecture. The largest number of Estonian engineers and architects were educated in these two cities. And those people were dominant in the fields in Estonia until the middle of the 20th century. By the end of the Tsarist era, a total of about 100 Estonian engineers and 50 architects had graduated from the technical college. A handful of them also reached doctoral degrees. However, it was difficult for the first generation of Estonian technical intelligentsia to find suitable work in their homeland, as nationality-based discrimination continued and many were forced to move to work in Russia. The local press reported it strange that in the local industry sector there were more foreign engineers than Estonians, and at the same time the Estonians had to look for work elsewhere. The Estonians who received their degrees in technical fields in Riga and St. Petersburg were the ones who, much to the disappointment of the University of Tartu, initiated the idea of technical higher institution creation in Tallinn. This idea was introduced increasingly convincingly, so that in the autumn of 1918, even the German military authorities that occupied Estonia at that time agreed to the establishing of the Tallinn Technical College. This under the modest name of specialized technical courses. The invading powers were certainly impressed by the very good German language skills of the local technical intelligentsia. The forming of the Republic of Estonia and the opening of the Tallinn Technical College, the predecessor of Technical University, was not the end of history for the technical education community. There were many objections to the viability of the new university, the more prevalent one being that Estonia is too small for two universities and that there isn't enough Estonian language teaching staff to work at this institution. The success of the technical college was still to be seen. The government's economic strategy also changed in the second half of the 1920s, and agriculture became Estonia's priority. The development of Tallinn Technical College stalled, and the government decided to gradually close it. Although 300 engineers and architects graduated from the Tallinn Technical College by the end of the 1930s, their status was far from clear. For the next 20 years, it was debated whether they are fully fledged engineers and architects who can be entrusted with the responsibility of these demanding tasks. The need for engineers and architects grew. Since many foreign technical specialists had left Estonia in the whirlwind of wars and revolutions. The technical intelligentsia is of existential importance to every country. The possibility to study at engineering degree programs in St. Petersburg and Riga was also lost. After the War of Independence, St. Petersburg was no longer an attractive place to study at for obvious reasons. Another option was to study in Riga, but with the prerequisite to study the Latvian language, which was not very attractive. Thus, the alternative was to study in the European technical universities. It is once again astonishing how the few technical scholars managed to convince the Ministry of Education, even in the context of the War of Independence, that there is a need for scholarships in order to enable young people to go and study at technical degree programs in Europe. Even before the War of Independence came to an end in 1919, the first young citizens of the Republic of Estonia set out to study in Europe, figuratively speaking, almost directly from the trenches. They had made a significant contribution to the course of the war with their technical knowledge, developing and maintaining military equipment, both on armored trains, artillery, and in pioneer units. Most of the students went to technical colleges where the language of teaching was German. After all, German was the first foreign language in the Estonian secondary schools until the mid-1930s. The most attractive were German medium schools with good reputation, but which were not located in Germany. For instance, Danzig University of Technology in Poland and Brno University of Technology in the Czech Republic. But many also still went to Berlin and Karlsruhe, Dresden and Vienna, Zurich, and dozens of other more or less well-known universities. At least one Estonian student, later an architect, an academician and a professor of Tallinn University of Technology, Leo Jürgenson, also reached to the famous MIT in the US, where he obtained a doctorate. The most popular field of study were civil engineering, followed by mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and architecture. There were far fewer people studying mining and chemistry, or more exotic fields such as aviation or the textile and paper industry. But no one was waiting for these people with open arms. Already during the Tsarist state, few Estonians had gone to study in Germany. The attitude in Germany towards the students from the Russian Tsarist state was not very friendly. Russian students were said to be dirty, Germans despised them for the way they looked. Russian students were thought to be there to pursue politics, and they were said to be promiscuous. Estonians who were citizens of the Russian Empire were not very happy about this attitude of the Germans. The situation did not improve much after Estonia gained independence. For the Germans, the root of all evil did not derive from the French alone, but from all foreigners. There were even cases when the foreigners were asked to leave the auditorium, and Estonians are being blamed for the land reform. Despite of all the difficulty in the 1920s and 30s, people acquired engineering and architects' diplomas in the European technical colleges. Also, the Baltic Germans, Russians and Jews. The modest support of the state paid well off, not only because many future ministers, officials and teachers came from the ranks of the young people who studied abroad. And also not only because these young people subsequently designed hundreds of buildings, roads and infrastructure in Estonia, which were built on the basis of the best available knowledge in the world at that time. After all, they had been taught in the old European technical colleges by the world's top scientists, including several Nobel laureates. The young people who studied in Europe and returned enriched the local life upon their return in many ways. They set up factories and cafes, wrote books and formed associations. Having studied in the spiritual atmosphere of the old technical colleges, the returned engineers and architects influenced both Estonia's technical culture and general mentality, both with their practical work and their mindsets. Their ways of work, behavior, and mentality were passed on to colleagues and students alike. At the same time, they maintained good professional ties with their alma mater, their professors, and fellow students. Today's Estonia would be hard to imagine without their contribution. I would like to name a couple of them. Karl Popello, a later lecturer in winter at Tallinn Technical College, studied at the Warsaw Polytechnic Institute and in Nizhny Novgorod. He is also called the Estonian Thomas Alva Edison. August Kommandant, a world-known civil engineer, graduated from Dresden University of Technology and also taught at Tallinn University of Technology for a short period of time. The buildings he designed in the USA and elsewhere in the world, many of them completed in collaboration with the architect Louis Kahn, born in Saaremaa Island, are among the classics of the world buildings. Alar Kotli graduated with a degree in architecture from Danzig University of Technology. He designed the main building of Tallinn University and the presidential palace in Kadriorg, but the most famous of his works is the Tallinn Song Festival grounds. Peeter Tarvas studied at the German University of Technology in Brno. Several of his buildings, for instance the cinema called Sõprus, can be seen in downtown Tallinn. Johannes Lorup, who studied mechanical engineering in Danzig, is well known among the contemporary industrialists. Everyone has probably heard of Lorup's famous porcelain industry. A chemist, Paul Kogerman, studied in London and Harvard and defended his doctoral dissertation at the Zurich University of Technology. It is difficult to overestimate his contribution to oil shale research and the birth of Tallinn University of Technology. There are many outstanding personalities, and their contribution to the development of Tallinn University of Technology was very important. It is important to recall that many of them went through very serious hardship during their studies. Often they needed to choose between buying food or study materials. Many students did not have enough support from their homes, and there are still many application letters in the archives of the Ministry of Education asking for further financial support in order to continue their studies. There are examples of students falling ill or dying as a result of poor diets and living conditions. In the second half of the 1930s, agriculture loses its importance as being the main sector of economy in Estonia. Industry and energetics began developing more vigorously, and the decline of the Tallinn Technical College leads to the creation of Tallinn Institute of Technology in 1936, which was renamed Tallinn University of Technology a few years later. It was only at that time that there was enough technical scholars in Estonia in order to be able to provide high-quality teaching of students on the spot. Almost immediately, a new Great War and long years in the annexed Estonia followed. Many technical scholars got killed in the war, many headed to the western states as refugees, and many were sent to Gulag camps. We can only imagine the state of today's Estonia if these people who were highly educated in Europe could have worked in peaceful Estonia. There were also others who managed to continue their work in the Estonian Socialist Soviet Republic. Thanks to them, the Estonian Language Technical College was preserved, the Tallinn Polytechnic Institute, which maintained the much-needed continuity in the field of technology. Without these engineers and architects, we would not have Tallinn University of Technology at high level in Estonia today. What's the moral of the story? First, the state should always invest as much as possible in education, regardless of the complexity of the situation. Without state support, the number of Estonian technical students in top European universities would have been several times smaller. Educational mobility is always a natural phenomenon which reinforces culture. History has shown that the benefits of returning are impressive. Secondly, apart from the darkest years of occupation, Estonian technical education has always been open and international. A prominent part of Estonia's technical intelligentsia before the Second World War was educated in other countries. Looking around in the alley of our academics, most of them have studied abroad. We can now offer the same opportunity to countries that are less fortunate than us. An opportunity to study at the university with a dignified history and high scientific level. Only openness ensured that young Estonians interested in technology could study abroad. In a world with closed borders, the formation of the Estonian technical intelligentsia would not have been possible. Hopefully, the Eurotech initiative will also contribute to an increasing number of students opting for studying at the foreign university during their studies. It is valuable since it significantly broadens your horizons. To sum up, it is not the task of historians to seek the moral of the story. However, knowing the history and the development of Estonian engineering and architecture helps us to better understand the development of the Estonian nation and the state. Technology scholars made a very important contribution to the possibility of the emergence of the Estonian state. So, it is always the birth story of the Estonian Republic. And we can only be proud of the wisdom and the foresight of our forefathers. I thank you for your attention. Thank you to Tõnis Liivek. Dear academic family, before we get to the festive ceremony, we will have the opportunity to enjoy some music. Today, we will listen to Mari Jüriens, the nominee of the Female Artist of the Year and the winner of the Author's Song of the Year and Folk Album of the Year. You have the floor.
Tere päevast! Iial ei teagi, kus on meenese äär. Täna olete teie mu mõte ja määr. Maailm on olemas juba ammugi. Homset ei tea, mis jõuab meieni. Meieni. Tean vaid, et kord suureks peab sirguma. Unine meel hommikul virguma. Seni las olen veel väike ja teiegi. Näidake mulle kõik kokku ja laiali. 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 päevast on püham teie elus olemist. Saan pühitseda üha nüüd ja igavesti. On me ise endi teha. Mida siis anda, mida saan vanduda? Huultele kanda, olla ja anduda. Hoida te jaoks hommikuta tee ja meel. Õhtute hool ja ühine kodutee. Kodutee. Kodutee.
Thank you for this moving piece of music. Ladies and gentlemen, the new deans of the School of Information Technology and the School of Business and Governance are appointed for the new term in office, as well as the director of the Estonian Maritime Academy. They will receive their medals of office for the new term today. I will give the floor for the presenting of the deans and the director, and for the festive inauguration ceremony, Director Tiit Land. Dear academic family, I'm not just glad, but I'm very happy to present to you the new deans of the Schools of Information Technology and Business and Governance and the director of the Estonian Maritime Academy. I am very happy also because these people do not need a long introduction. I am happy that they accepted this challenge of wanting to head the schools and the Maritime Academy for the next term in office. And I'm also very happy that they were elected, all three of them. The fact that they all were elected to office for the new term is a confirmation of their contribution. They also headed their schools and Maritime Academy in the previous period. It was a very challenging time since there was a structural reform right before, and several institutes were restructured under the new schools. And I think that it is a recognition that all of the three were very good at their jobs. And for the next term in office, I expect the deans and also the director that they are enthusiastic when applying the new development plan. And this week in the rector's office and the meetings of the institutes and schools will start with the key indicators regarding the development plan. And for this year, the even greater challenge is the opening of the financial statutes and also institutional accreditation process. So there is a very busy period ahead of us, and I would like to wish all of the three people new old deans, 2 of them, and the director. Congratulations and much energy for the next term in office. I am very happy to invite Professor Gert Järvan, the Dean of the School of Information Technology, to give for the festive inauguration. And I would like to invite Enn Listra, the Dean of School of Business and Governance, to come to the stage. And last but not least, I would like to ask the director of Estonian Maritime Academy, Roomet Leiger, to the stage to award him a Medal of Office. Thank you to the rector and congratulations to the appointed deans. The Medal of Office is the symbol of dean's professional position in office. A state has its own symbols, and one of the most important one of those being the flag. Do you know when the blue, black and white tricolor waved the first time on our main building square of flags? Let us hear the story.
Minu käes on lipp.
The flag, which is in my hands, was first raised in the Tallinn Technical University on the 24th of February in 1989. This flag was definitely the first blue, black and white tricolor at the campus
Tehnikaülikooli kampuses,
here in Mustamäe, and most likely the first Estonian flag raised in Tallinn Technical University after the war altogether.
Tehnikaülikooli lipumastides. Tehnikaülikooli nimi sel
ajal
time,
it was the Tallinn Polytechnic Institute,
ja see lipp
and it is a flag
on pärit minu kodutalust Pärnu
County,
Sauga vallast,
Parish.
Ridalepa küla Vehakse talust. Leidsin ma selle lipu 1984. aastal, kui ma oma isa hakkasin talust ära Tallinna kolima
Pärnu County.
Elutoas olevas kummutis
In the living room there
selgus,
was a chest of drawers
alumine
where
sahtel
the last
lahti ei
drawer
käigi,
could only be opened
vaid sinna pääses juurde
when
ainult
all
siis,
the rest of the
kui
drawers
ülemised
were
sahtid
taken
olid välja
out.
tõmmatud.
So it was
Ja
blocked.
sealt kõige
And
alumisest
there, in
sahtlist
the very bottom
ma
of
selle
the drawers,
lipuga
I found
1984. aastal
two
leidsin,
flags
tegelikult oli
in
neid lippe isegi
1984.
kaks.
One a
käes olev lipp
full-size
on
flag, which is meant for the mast,
ja
and
teine
a
veidi
smaller
väiksemas
one
mõõdus oli siis
for the house.
nimetatud majalipp. Edasi
I
meenutaksin
would also like to recollect
sündmusi,
the
mis
events
leidsid
which
aset
took place on February
24. veebruaris
24th,
ja natukene enne seda
32 years
32
ago.
aastat tagasi. Vahetult
There was a day off
enne
right before the 24th at the university,
ülikoolis
and most
välja
people did not come
kuulutatud
to
vaba
work.
päev ja üldiselt tööle ei tuldud. Mina aga
As a senior staff
sel ajal
member,
ka vastutav
I
töötaja
needed to go by
pidasin
my
vajalikuks
office
siiski
also on this day,
ülikoolist
however.
läbi astuda. Olin jõudnud
And I had been
oma kabinetis
only in my
väheke
office
aega
for
olla,
some minutes
kui
when the phone
helises
rang on my desk.
minu laual otse telefon,
It
mis
was the
ühendas
rector.
mind rektoriga. Rektor kutsus
He
üles
invited me
oma
to his
kabinetti
office and
väiksele
we
nõupidamisele.
discussed the current events.
Päevasündmusi arutades selgus,
He expressed
et
his
rektoril
regret
oli
that
pagana
we do
kahju,
not have a possibility
et
to
meil
raise
pole
our
võimalik
own blue,
oma
black, white
lipumasti
flag at the university.
sinimustvalget heisata. Nimelt oli kogu see ettevõtmine tol ajal
This
hoitud nii
whole
suures
event
saladuses,
of waving the national flags was kept in such secrecy that even the rector, who was a member of the Supreme Soviet at that time, did not know before the day had almost come. But I recalled at that time that I had a tricolor at home in my drawers, and I offered to bring it.
Ja siia masti lasta see heisata. Kuna ma elan küllalt
As I live nearby,
sügiste teel, siis poole
I was
tunni
back
pärast
within
olin
30
ma
minutes.
lipuga tagasi. Rektor Boris Tamm
The rector Boris Tamm had found a house manager,
Senta Reederi,
who was asked, who in turn asked her staff to raise the flag.
Tema käsutada olid valvetöömehed, kes siis selle lipu masti heiskasid ja ma võin tähelepanu, et siin on veel lipu küljes lipsud, mille tõenäoliselt õmbes siia külge Senta Reeder, sest ennem neid siin ei olnud.
I believe that Senta Reeder sewed herself to the flag.
Lipumasti sai.
That's how the flag ended here, and before midday it was raised.
Paar aastat
A couple of years ago,
kui ma juhtusin
when I read
lugema
Jüri Kraft's memoirs,
Jüri Krafti
how the
mälestusi
national flag was first raised in the tower of the parliament in 1989 on the 24th of February,
aasta 24. veebruaril tekkis
I
mul
thought
mõte,
that the flag which was waving
mis
at the
sellel
campus
ajal
of Tallinn
Tehnikaülikooli
Technical University at the same
lipumastis
time
lehvis,
should be preserved
peaks leidma
and
koha
exhibited at the
Tallinna
university's
Tehnikaülikooli
museum.
muuseumis, kus seda oleks võimalik säilitada ja eksponeerida vaatamiseks ka teistele. Nüüd, kuna lipp on Tehnikaülikooli jaoks sümbolväärtusega.
It has a symbolic value since the farmhouse where it was found does not exist anymore, and it has a very symbolic value also to the university. We'd like to thank Jüri Tanner for this important reminder and an invaluable gift. We will continue with the festive recognition of the Tallinn Technical University Scientists of the Year 2020 and authors of the research articles of the year 2020. For this purpose, we will give the floor to the rector, Professor Tiit Land. Let us begin by announcing the researchers of the year. The title Young Researcher of the Year is awarded to a researcher under the age of 35 who has outstanding achievements in research and development, professional research forums, supervision of doctoral students, and involvement of students in research and development activities. The 2020 laureate is a versatile and active young researcher who defended his doctorate in 2012, being only 27 years old. He completed his postdoctoral studies in Technion, a top university in Israel, where he began to study the impact of renewable energy sources on today's electricity grid infrastructure, and has continued to do so as a tenure professor at the Institute of Software Science. Under the supervision of the Young Researcher of the Year, 2 doctoral theses and a large number of bachelor's and master's theses have been successfully defended. He was awarded the Boris Tamme Scholarship in 2015, the Young IT Researcher Scholarship of the President's Cultural Foundation in 2019. And in 2020 he was recognized with the Best Article Award at the top conference of the Energy section of the International Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Ladies and gentlemen, Tallinn University of Technology's Young Scientist of the Year 2020 is Professor Yuri Belikov. The title of the Researcher of the Year is awarded to a researcher who has outstanding achievements in managing research and development projects, supervising doctoral theses, and publishing research results in high-ranking scientific journals. Researcher of the Year 2020 is a professor who published as many as 14 publications on the highest scientific level last year. He is an internationally recognized professional in his field, a member of the European Society of Cardiology and the American College of Cardiology. He chairs the Tallinn Hypertension Excellence Center and the working group Hypertension and Sexual Dysfunction of the European Society of Hypertension. He has supervised many master's and doctoral theses, and he currently supervises as many as 4 doctoral students. He has received an Order of the Estonian Red Cross 3rd class and has been elected as an honorary member of many foreign professional organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, the Researcher of the Year 2020 is Professor Margus Viigimaa. The title of the Best Research Article of the Year is awarded in 3 areas of research. In natural, exact and health sciences, an annual research article introduced a new mechanochemical way to couple carboxylic acids and amines to amides using organic and inorganic coupling reagents. The developed method helps the synthesis of amides with a short reaction time and good yield. Also, the reaction elicited by the developed method generates minimal residues because no solvents are used. In other words, the developed method contributes to the creation of an environmentally friendly and sustainable chemical industry. We'd like to ask the authors of the article, the annual research article in the field of natural, exact and health sciences 2020 to the podium. Tatjana Dalidovic. Kamini Mishra. Tatjana Shalima. Marina Kudryashova. Dmitry Kanavnovich. And Professor Rina A. In the area of engineering and technology, the authors of the 2 best scientific articles are awarded. The first article looked for alternative ways to utilize the pyrolysis water generated as a residue in the oil shale industry, which has so far been incinerated in old dust boilers. The researchers proposed fluidized bed boilers as a new disposal method and proved with a series of 3 days of testing that this method is an environmentally suitable alternative and does not go against the current environmental regulations. The results of this research were very useful for the Estonian oil shale industry and were used as real inputs in obtaining environmental permits. The article was also published in the Journal of Cleaner Production, which is both highly ranked and has a high impact factor. We'd like to ask the authors of the article of the year 2020 in engineering and technology areas, Professor Alar Konist. Oliver Järvik. Eliis Pikkor. Dmitry Neshomajev. Professor Tõnu Pihu. Research groups from Tallinn University of Technology, as well as Finland, Germany, and Russia, contributed to the completion of the second research article in the field of engineering and technology. Together, the researchers developed a low-cost and flexible transparent composite film based on carbon nanotubes combined with an electrically conductive polymer. The research has resulted in a relatively inexpensive composite film that is comparable in both optical and electrical parameters to the transparent electrode materials on the market today, such as used in screens and solar panels, but which are very expensive and therefore limit technological development. The experiments resulted in a composite film which had a record square resistance with 90% permeability and excellent flexibility. We'd like to ask the authors of this article of the year 2020 to the stage. Sergei Beresnev. Olga Volobuyeva. Matti Danielsson. Let us also applaud to the authors of the article who are not physically present here today: Pramod Rajanna, Hosni Medeb, Oleg Sergeyev, Alexei Tsapenko, Martin Vehse, Peeter Lund, Albert Nasibulin. The annual research article in the field of social sciences and humanities explored knowledge risk management as a possible approach to achieving organizational sustainability. In other words, it offers a new perspective on commercial sustainability. In addition to further developing the theory, the research also offers a number of tools and techniques that organizations can use to mitigate knowledge risks. The article was also published in the scientific journal with a high ranking, Journal of Cleaner Production. We'd like to ask the author of this article to the stage, the annual research article of the year in the field of social sciences, Professor Susanne Durst and Malgorzata Zieba. Congratulations once again to the researchers of the year and the authors of the articles of the year, and thank you to the rector. The time is right now for enjoying some more music. Mari Jürjens, you have the floor.
Iga päeva järel algab uus ja võõras päev ning kui saab meil tuttavaks, siis lehvitab ja läheb. seiklusi meid elus ootab ees. Ja üks vapper süda tuksub aina minu sees. Hea on igal hommikul üles ärgata, teada, et ma saan sind enda kõrval märgata ja et läbi tundmatu koos me läheme, isegi kui pilvepiir jääb me vahele, jääb meie vahele, jääb meie vahele, jääb meie vahele, jääb me vahele. Kõik saab korda alati, kui sa oled hea ja ehk juhtub imesid su ümber, mine tea, sest keegi meie ümber ju ei ole halb ja must. Igaüks meist vajab lihtsalt tõelist armastust. Minu väikses südames on ruumi sinule, sulle mõeldes ükski päev ei jää vahele. Ootan vahel lihtsalt, et sa teeksid mulle pai. Siis kui muremets on minu ümber liiga lai, kui on mure liiga lai, kui on mure liiga lai, kui on mure liiga lai, kas sa teeksid mulle pai?
Aitäh Marile.
Thank you to Mari. We would like to ask the rector, Tiit Land, and the vice rector for development, Sven Illing, to come to the stage for the Development of the Year Awards. The third place in the Development of the Year 2020 competition goes to a project which contributes to both road safety and the preservation of our environment. As part of the development, as many as 8 prototypes of pavements generating solar energy were created and installed in public urban space, which will help to cross the road safer, illuminate sidewalks, and will be of great help to the visually impaired. Allan Laas research group has won the third place in the Development of the Year competition for the development of and the commissioning of pavements producing solar energy. Allan Lahi, please come up to the stage. The second place in the Development of the Year competition was won by the development of an application which enables the operative display of production information and the testing and retuning of various robots or robotic platforms through digital twin technology. The primary application has been created for Culinaria OÜ and is the basis for the creation of production units operating on the principles of Industry 4.0. If the project is successful, the company plans to introduce mobile robots in its smart factories of the future in cooperation with Taltech. The second place in Tallinn University Technologies Development of the Year 2020 competition was won by Kristo Karjust Research Group with work Smart Production and Digital Twins Autonomous Robot Vehicle in Boxbot Production Logistics. Professor Kristo Karjusti, please come to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to awarding the Development of the Year 2020 for the winner in this category. The research team developed a measurement sensor that can be used to obtain an aortic blood pressure waveform, which is the most important source of information for diagnosing abnormalities in a person's heart and rate and blood circulation. While it is generally necessary to insert pressure sensors into the heart area through an artery to obtain an aortic blood pressure waveform, the developed non-invasive sensor can collect this information from the patient's wrist and the watch-like device. The development work was also successfully tested with patients at East Tallinn Central Hospital, but due to corona restrictions, they have now been suspended. However, initial human experiments confirmed that the expectations of the development team and provided a perspective for continuing to work at a higher technological level. So the first award for the Development of the Year 2020 was won by Mart Min and the research team with non-invasive sensor of central aortic blood pressure waveform. Congratulations once again to all of the authors and to Sven Illing, the Vice Rector for Development. Dear academic family, next we will announce the Teaching Staff of the Year awards. For this purpose, we will kindly ask Professor Hendrik Voll, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, and Professor Gert Jerevan, the Dean of the School of Information Technology, to the stage. Three of the best lecturers of the year were selected from the School of Information Technology, the first of whom is engaged in teaching, research and development in the field of biosignals. Students appreciate his teaching methods, commitment and dialogue with the students, which was particularly evident in virtual learning through the crisis. His sense of mission, consideration of student feedback, and continuous development of his subject and teaching materials are also emphasized. In the School of Information Technology, the lecturer of the year is Professor Ivo Fridolin. The title of the Lecturer of the Year of the School of Information Technology is given to a professor who has always been chosen as the best supervisor of doctoral theses in the School of IT. Students value his helpfulness, thorough preparation, structure and organization of the subjects, use of modern methods, and social activity in organizing various competitions and hackathons. The Lecturer of the Year of the School of IT 2020 is Professor Yannick Lemulek.
Infotehnoloogia teaduskonna aasta õppejõu tiitliga tunnustatakse õppejõudu ja teadlast, kes tegutseb andmekaeve.
IT award, Lecturer of the Award is given to a professor who has been teaching the data mining subject in the last year, and the maximum points were given by the students to this subject, which is not very ordinary. More than 130 graduation theses have been defended, and several hundreds of students have graduated from his subjects, and very many top specialists in the field have been trained by him. Lecturer of the Year 2020 is Innar Liiv, who unfortunately cannot be here today, but we would like to congratulate him virtually with a great applause. Thank you to Professor Gert Järvan, and we would like to ask Professor Fyodor Sergeyev, the Dean of the School of Engineering, to the stage to award the Teaching Staff of the Year titles in the School of Engineering. The School of Engineering will also award 3 Lecturers of the Year titles, and we will introduce them in alphabetical order. The School of Engineering recognizes a professor whose teaching methods are so motivating that students have even changed the direction or specialization after participating in his courses. Students value his professional excellence, excellent expression skills, and meaningful e-learning support, which was essential for distance and hybrid learning to acquire learning outcomes. The Lecturer of the Year of the Faculty of the School of Engineering 2020 is Professor Anders Grumme, who unfortunately was not able to physically participate in this event, but we will send him a big round of applause. The title, Lecturer of the Year, will also be rewarded to an associate professor at the Institute of Mechanical Industrial Engineering, who has developed a network of partners to diversify internships, which allows students to make regular visits and practical work in the field of shipping, aerospace, and railway engineering. Students appreciate his ability to convey complex information and expertise easily and in a way that everyone can understand. Lecturer of the Year 2020 in the School of Engineering is Hans Rämmal. The title of the Lecturer of the Year in the School of Engineering is awarded to a lecturer and program manager of Virumaa College who has obtained a doctoral degree in experimental physics. Her scientific and systematic approach is also reflected in the subjects she teaches. In addition, she gives popular science lectures and elective courses in general education schools, introduces TalTech curricula to young people, and supervises students in 3 major disciplines. Faculty of Engineering Lecturer of the Year 2020 is Veronika Shirokova. Thank you to Professor Fyodor Sergeyev. The School of Science awards Lecturer of the Year title to an associate professor who is able to teach students a very complex field in a clear way, also in the form of distance learning. Students appreciate her ability to draw parallels and give examples from everyday life, her positive attitude to life and systematic teaching, which helps to prepare well for exams. Lecturer of the Year at the School of Science 2020 is Maria Kutinskaya. We'd like to ask Professor N. Listra, the Dean of School of Business and Governance, to the stage to award their titles. The School of Business and Governance awards 2 titles of the Lecturer of the Year. The first one goes to a lecturer who has been able to take the feedback assessments of mathematics and statistics to new heights. Students value her brilliant teaching skills, cordiality, and ability to inspire students to make real life statistics. She has also been a great role model and assistant to other members of teaching staff, both in terms of giving advice and helping with practicalities, especially in the transition to distance learning. Lecturer of the Year of the School of Business and Governance 2020, Kirsti Rumma. The School of Business Governance Awards Lecturer of the Year award goes to an entrepreneur, service designer and continuing education specialist. She highly values educational innovation, applying project and active learning methods in her work. Students are thrilled by her bubbling energy, which also makes the weekend-long seminar to a long-awaited event. In her subject, services have also been designed for various large companies, such as Swedbank and Tallinn Airport for many years. And on her initiative, TAL Lab's Service Design Laboratory D-Lab was established in 2020. The Lecturer of the Year 2020 is Jana Kukk. Thank you to Professor Enn Listra, and we would now like to ask the director of the Estonian Maritime Academy, Roomet Leiger, to award the Lecturer of the Year titles in the Estonian Maritime Academy. The Lecturer of the Year at the Estonian Maritime Academy is a highly esteemed and experienced lecturer who thoroughly knows his field and is able to teach it to students as well. He is both a lecturer and a program manager. He has done research and published several textbooks. His benevolence, friendliness and sense of humor, as well as creativity, are highly valued by students and colleagues alike. Lecturer of the Year in the Estonian Maritime Academy 2020 is Heino Punap. Thank you to Roomet Leiger and congratulations to all the lecturers of the year 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the recognition of the program managers of the year. This is a relatively new tradition, and this year the program managers of the year will be announced for the second time. A total of 3 laureates were selected and we present them in alphabetical order. The School of Science has chosen an associate professor as the program manager of the year 2020. He takes care of the development of 2 relatively complex curricula and has done so rather successfully. He has been excellent in marketing of the curricula and has been able to make the master's program so visible internationally that it attracts students from all over the world. He is also a very enthusiastic lecturer and a highly esteemed colleague. Tallinn University of Technology Program Manager of the Year 2020 is Raavo Joosefson. The second Program Manager of the Year was chosen from the School of Business and Governance. He runs a bachelor's degree program with 5 majors with a total of 506 students. His work is characterized by going deeper into topics and actively searching for solutions to emerging problems. He develops the curriculum in collaboration with the Program Council, faculty and students, and thoroughly analyzes the impact of change. He has a clear vision of what his curriculum needs to be to meet the needs of different stakeholders, and a plan for what to do to achieve it. The Program Manager of the Year 2020 is Tarvo Niine. The third Program Manager of the Year was elected from the School of Engineering, and under her leadership the study program has achieved a very stable and strong position. In the satisfaction survey of the graduates of the curriculum, this curriculum has received the highest evaluation at the University of Technology. Students call her an extraordinary person who can motivate students, help them solve the concerns and encourage them to put themselves to the test. Program Manager of the Year 2020 is Professor Marina Trapido. Congratulations again to all of the people receiving the awards, as well as to the rector and the vice rector for academic affairs. Dear academic family, before we move on to the recognition of the support staff member of the year and awarding the sports, culture and student deeds of the year, we will listen to Mari Jürjens.
See pole lihtsalt üks keha, mil kont on keset vett ja liha. Ta lastud jumalatel teha, et vaim võiks puutuda ja näha. Ta sees ei ole tükki viha, on vahel hirmu, vahel iha. Ta elab keset koitu eha ja vajab käsi ümber piha. Jääb vari ette vahel taha, kuid mitte hiial temast maha. Kas tahab ta siis või ei taha, on vahel ikka olla paha. On nagu kuum ja puhas vaha, kõik hea, mis sulab läbi naha. Ja kuigi kaugelt pole näha, ta hoiab endas kõike püha. Kuid siin ei ole miskit teha, ära väsida võib keha. Kesksagimiste saatvat müha, ta ajas kortsub ikka üha. See pole lihtsalt üks keha, ja kui ka kaotab oma koha, jääb alles kõik, mis olnud püha, mis tulnud otse läbi näha. Suur tänu, aitäh!
Thank you to Mari. At today's festive event, we have the honor to give recognition to the best support staff members of the year, awarding the sports, cultural and student deeds of the year, and of course, to award the student of the year and the student organization of the year. We would like to ask Director Tiit Land to take the stage, also Joosep Kaasik from the Personal Department and Hendrik Voll, Vice Rector of the Academic Affairs. The support staff Member of the Year awards will be presented the third time at the Tallinn University of Technology, and each faculty and department had the opportunity to nominate one candidate, from whom the best 5 from all over university were selected. The awards will be presented in alphabetical order. The Year of the Support Staff Member recognizes a colleague who is very hardworking and determined and is a key person in addition of her daily work, for example in developing the student portal, digitizing VTA process, participating in the Danish University of Technology's Green Challenge project. The support staff member of the year 2020 at Tallinn University is a specialist at counseling services, Barbara Hein. Thank you. And now I would like to ask the Director of Facilities, Aivar Uutar, to take the stage as well. The 2020 Support Staff Member of the Year title is awarded to a colleague whose daily job is to ensure that the buildings of the Technical University are maintained and in working order. Under his leadership, the waste collection reform was implemented at all university buildings from Mustamäe to Kuressaare. The support staff member of the year 2020 is Head of Administrative Department, Georg Logins. Thank you to the Director of Facilities. Now I would like to ask Tauno Toisu, the Director of Finance, to come to the stage. The 2020 Support Staff Member title recognizes a colleague who is exceptionally committed to achieving goals and setting an example for everyone. She can always remain calm, constructive, and focus on finding solutions. Thanks to her, the Public Procurement Act was amended in the summer of 2020, as a result of which the field of procurement in our university and the whole country was improved. The 2020 Support Staff Member title goes to Chief Procurement Officer and Head of Division, Eveli Kobar. Thank you to the Director of Finances. I would like to ask Professor Fyodor Sergeyev, Dean of School of Engineering, to take the stage. The Support Staff Member of the Year title is awarded to a colleague who really is a jack of all trades and excels in all of them. Colleagues call her a good mood generator, a creator of a positive work atmosphere and a stress reliever. She is both a captain and a prominent team player who never leaves her teammates in trouble. The Support Staff Member of the Year 2020 is the Assistant to the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering, Ruth Kulbas. Thank you to the Dean of the School of Engineering. The 2020 Support Staff Member of the Year title recognizes a colleague who carries all of the core values of the university in her activities. She is very professional in her work and ready to do big things. She motivates and inspires her employees, and last year her team was recognized for the best digital marketing deed in Estonia. Tallinn Technical University Support Staff Member of the Year 2020 is the head of the Marketing and Community Department, Anne Muldmäe. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now continue with declaring the cultural, sports and student deeds of the year 2020. The Cultural Deed of the Year award goes to a musical collective, a wind orchestra, which celebrated their 70-year anniversary with a spectacular concert performance inside and outside of the picture, but also successfully participated in various competitions. Cultural Deed 2020 is the first prize won by the Tallinn University of Technology Wind Orchestra in the highest category of the National Wind Orchestra competition. Kristel Veersalu, the president of the Wind Orchestra, and Tarmo Kivisilla, conductor, please take the stage. For the first time, the Sport Deed of the year 2020 comes from the field of motorsports and not from land but from water. Sports Act of the year 2020 is Karol Soodla's first place at the European Championship in powerboat racing in GT30 competition class. Please, our student of applied chemistry, Karol Soodla. In addition to the traditional Sport Deed of the Year, we would today like to recognize another talented student and athlete. 3 weeks ago, an international combined track and field event took place in Tallinn, which was won by our student with 6,089 points, thus rising to the 7th place in Estonia's all-time ranking and taking the lead in the world ranking. We'd like to ask a student of product development and robotics, Risto Lillemets, to come to the stage. Thank you. And we would like, in order to give the titles of year student and the student deed of the year, the head of the student council, Sten Ärm, to take the stage. Student Deed of the Year 2020 is an initiative by 3 active students at the School of Information Technology to create a web-based platform where student organizations can submit both project and annual grant applications and reports to the Student Council. The created platform enables to submit both applications and reports conveniently and efficiently. Student Deed of the Year 2020 is the creation of an online platform for student council projects and annual grants. The authors, Grete Mänd, Raimond Lume and Lauri Kukk. The Student of the Year 2020 has excelled primarily in maintaining international relations. He is a great help to foreign students coming to Estonia who want to quickly integrate into university life and find new acquaintances. His goal is to introduce a system of Erasmus and international student friends at TalTech. As a Student of the Year, he is, of course, an active and helpful student, working closely together with other organizations and working towards a great goal. Student of the Year 2020 is ESN President Yazed Haddad. Today is a very special day in many ways, and for the first time we will present the Student Organization of the Year award at the anniversary ceremony of the Republic of Estonia. Student Organization of the Year 2020 was a great example and help to many other student organizations. This especially in the time of Corona restrictions, when they helped many events to take place virtually and people to participate virtually. In addition, in 2020, they made a spectacular short film Deviation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Student Organization of the Year 2020 is TalTech Film Club. Congratulations to all of the ones receiving the awards. I would like to ask Rector Tiit Land to come to the stage. Dear guests, I would like to thank you very much for this past year. This is the end of the festive assembly today. We will sing Gaudeamus. Before we leave the hall, I would like to invite one person here in order to give them a bunch of flowers as appreciation. This is Administrative Director Joosep Kaasik, who is still in office today, but we also heard that Joosep is going to accept new challenges in life, and as of 1st of April will be the prefect of Tallinn, so he's going to be taking care of the inner security of our state and of our city. Thank you very much, Josep, for this 3 or 3.5 years that you've been here. And we'd like to wish much energy and courage in your new profession. And please come back to us. Dear academic family, now we will close our festive assembly. Thank you very much for the presence, both physically and virtually, and have a good health. All the receivers of the awards, we would like to ask you to come to the photo wall without your mask and securely take photos. I wish you all a very great anniversary of the Republic. Thank you.